Hey everybody, this is Professor Burkett. We are going to do Are you ready for Unit 1? Um, I'm going to do a lot of this with you. A lot of these have an A and a B, so I'm likely to do the part A and then give you time in a minute. I'm probably going to put part B on these on a Desmos activity, so it'll be easier for you to draw and all that kind of good stuff. But we are very much aware that you may not have received all of the Algebra 1 that you typically would have received under normal classroom conditions. So that's why we're probably going to spend a good bit of review time to make sure that, as we talk about the Algebra 2, that it's not a gaping hole in your Algebra 1 that's causing you to stumble. So it's going to be very important that you communicate with Miss Trevino and I, when you're struggling with something that's an Algebra 1 topic. So everything that's on this page right here is Algebra 1. We're not going to do all this page in this one video. I'm going to try to keep my videos around 7 to 12 minutes. So I'm probably only going to get a few of these done, but let's get going. So it says given this function right here, it wants us to find the value. So this is function notation. Remember, function notation is just a fancy way of writing y. So this could be rewritten as y equals x squared minus 4x plus 5. It's the same thing. So when they give us this value for 2, that means that they're wanting us to find the y value. Okay, find the y value if we let the x value be 2. This is no different than a problem that says let x equal 2 and find out what y is. So that's exactly what we're doing. So we're going to take this 2 and plug it in right here for x. All right. I think I've done that here. So let me get that out of the way. So yeah, so I said, okay, so here's f of 2. And that's how I would say it, find f of 2. That's what that says. So I would take everywhere in this equation, I have an x. I'm going to take the x out and I'm going to replace it with a 2. And then I'm going to do my order of operations and calculate that. So 2 squared means 2 times 2, that's 4. Then I have a minus sign. 4 times 2 is 8. And then plus 5. So what I have here is order of operations. I do addition, subtraction in the order in which they appear from left to right. So 4 minus 8. The signs are different, so we subtract them, but we keep the sign of the larger, so that becomes negative 4. Negative 4 plus 5. The signs are different, so we subtract and keep the sign of the larger, so the answer should be positive 1. So we would say f of 2 is equal to 1. Please be sure you understand that another way of writing that answer is the point 2, 1, because that's exactly what that means. I want to show you. I hope it's not too hard for me to find. Yeah. I want to show you, if you have not been using Desmos.com calculator, you see it, there's the address right there. If you just in a Google page, you just type in Desmos and my Desmo calculator popped up, and it pops up graphing calculator, and you get this page, the same page that I had right there. The only difference is that I already had typed in x squared minus 4x plus 5. Now, notice that I typed in f of x, and the reason that I want to do that is because I can come down here on line number 2, I can type in 2, and what does it do? It shoots out the answer right there. So you can check your work. No, we don't want to see the answer is 1 without seeing this work. Ms. Trevino and I are both going to be looking for work. We got to see it, and without the work, you're not going to get full credit. And then I want to show you that means that 2, 1 is a point that shows up on this graph right here. If I turn that off, see that parabola, this equation right here is what graphed that parabola. and we plugged in 2, and we found the y value. When x is 2, the y value was 1, and that gets us on our graph. All right, so now you're supposed to do the same thing for -6, and like I said, I'm going to give you a Desmos activity that will allow you to do that. Number 2 says find the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, well, you got to remember a couple of things from Algebra 1. First of all, y equals mx plus b is the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. That's the name of this form right here. Why is it called the slope-intercept form? Because the m and the b give you those two pieces of information. The m tells you the slope of that line, and the b tells you the y-intercept. So when they give you an equation in slope-intercept form, you don't have to, there's no math to do. You just simply look at it. And the slope is 3, and the y-intercept is -4. Now, can you answer m and b? Absolutely, because I know that m equals the slope. But if you're remembering for yourself, you might want to put the word slope in front of there, and you might want to put the word y-intercept right there to make sure that you remember that b stands for the y-intercept. Okay, so you're going to do part B on the Desmos activity. Number 3, it says graph the equation. All right, there's a couple of different ways you can graph the equation. You can find the x and y intercepts, or you can move this into slope-intercept form. To find the x and y intercepts, if you're looking for the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. You plug in 0 right here for x. 2 times 0 is 0. Then you just simply solve for y by dividing both sides by 3. So you get y equals 4. You do the same thing by plugging in 0 for y. You plug in 0 for y, you find the x-intercept. So we can come over here and we can plot those 2 points. We can go to 0, 4, plot that point right there. And we can go to x equals 6, plot that point right there, and then we can draw a line. So I'm going to swing that. I don't know how it gets off. Get this back on here. I don't have it exactly the right size, but that's okay. I don't know why my ruler rotates sometimes, and sometimes my page changes sizes. But I think it's super cool that I can use that ruler to draw a straight line. Okay, so that's what the line should look like. Now we're going to try to do the same thing. Let me see if I can swing the paper back over here. We're going to try to do the same thing by changing this into slope-intercept form, which is another way to work it. So this was method number 1, finding the x and y intercepts. This is method number 2, putting it into y equals mx plus b form. So it was starting off being 2x plus 3y equals 12. And I'm trying to get the y by itself. So I'm going to move the x term to the other side by subtracting it from both sides. That's going to leave 0 over here. So I'll bring the 3y down. I'm going to put the 2 in front, so the negative sign goes with it. The 12 is already a positive, so I'm just going to put the plus sign to separate the 2 terms. Divide everything by 3. And I end up with the 3's divide out, leaving me a coefficient of 1. This doesn't divide, so I'm going to recognize that it's okay. It's a slope, so that it's rise over run. And then 12 divided by 3 is a positive 4. So now when I take this equation and I go over here to graph my line, this says that I should go up to 4 on the y-axis. There I do. There I'm up at 4, and this says I should go down 2 and right 3. So down 2, 1, 2, 3. There's another point right there. down 2, 1, 2, 3. There's another point, down 2, 1, 2, 3. My line was just a smidge off, but I could go up 2 and to the left 3, up 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and all of those points, as I'm using that negative slope, all of those points are I'm finding that are on that line. If I want it to go further, go up 2, 1, 2, 3, go over one more. I could go down 2, 1, 2, 3, and my line would extend on out there. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, even though I'm pushing my time limit. I want to go ahead and write the equation for a line with slope 3 and a y-intercept 2. I'm going to do, I didn't do part B. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Actually, I am going to do part B. And then when you do your Desmos activity, I'm going to give you 2 new equations for number 3. So for number 1, you're going to do part B. For number 2, you're going to do part B. But for number 3, I'm going to give you 2 new equations. Part B is one of those special equations that's only going to be either a vertical line or a horizontal line. How do we know? Because it's only crossing one axis. Which axis is it crossing? It's crossing the x-axis. So we know this crosses the x-axis. So in order to cross the x-axis is horizontal. So in order to cross it, you have to be a vertical line. So let me change colors for this one. Let me see. Let me get this smaller thing. And it's crossing the x-axis because the x variable is being used. And it's crossing the x-axis at 7. So that means it's crossing the x-axis at 7. So there's a dot right here at 7, and it should be a vertical line, just like that. So any axis, any line that crosses an axis, that axis has to be part of the equation. So this line right here, see, it crossed the x-axis and the y-axis, so there was an x and a y in the equation. This line right here is only crossing the x-axis, so it has to be a vertical line. And for those of you who don't remember, we have positive slopes, we have negative slopes, we have undefined slopes, and we have lines that have 0 slope. That's slope face, and he'll help you remember positive, negative, undefined, and 0. Okay, so don't forget about slope face. I'm going to stop the video right now and probably go ahead and create your Desmos activity for these, and we'll come back and start with number 4.